In the last decade, countries around the world have been racing to embrace digital transformation, believing it to be a key component of economic sustainability. After all, the world's top digital economies are likely to be the world's top economies for many decades to come. Egypt is among the many countries around the world in the midst of developing strong digital infrastructure and a booming tech sector. If we take a step back, we can see that Egypt's economy has traditionally relied on sectors like agriculture, media, petroleum imports, natural gas, and tourism. But today, as the country looks towards 2030, tech entrepreneurship and digital businesses are becoming an increasingly important part of Cairo's future economy. Egypt launched its own Vision 2030 in 2016, focusing on sustainable development through science and innovation. It aims to diversify the economy by prioritizing knowledge and technology. One of the Vision 2030's most ambitious goals is to eradicate extreme poverty by 2030, with entrepreneurship playing a crucial role. After all, small and medium enterprises already account for 40% of Egypt's economy today, and also accounts for 75% of the country's total employment. And there are many key stakeholders across Egypt's government that are driving the development of the country's startup ecosystem. Many are tasked with building startup incubators and sandboxes, outlining key policies and regulations, and enabling greater access to capital. But why? The long and short of it is this. Egyptian entrepreneurs are expected to boost economic output and create numerous job opportunities. Hundreds of thousands of new jobs that Egypt needs to create to ensure social stability and economic growth in the country. The Arab Spring that erupted across the region in 2011 was largely stoked due to high unemployment rates and a lack of job opportunities for young university graduates eager to enter the workforce. This is why employment is such a critical indicator for governments around the world, and it is especially true for a country like Egypt. Egypt has over 100 million inhabitants and is considered the third most populous country in all of Africa and the Middle East. Not only is Egypt a large population, but it is also home to one of the youngest populations in the world. Having a young and dynamic population can indeed be a good thing if there are enough jobs for these young people to grab and become productive contributors to society. But if the economy does not grow fast enough, or if there are not enough new companies and new jobs created, this could spell disaster for Egypt's economy. This is why there is so much importance placed on entrepreneurship and the development of small and medium-sized enterprises in Egypt. It's no small feat. Here's a visual representation. This is the maximum number of jobs that exist today. And this is the number of jobs that need to exist in the next 15 years to employ Egypt's young population. The government is banking on the technology and digital economy to help create many of these jobs. And this is also where unicorns are so important. Unicorns can help absorb many of these young people. Young people also desire to work for tech companies, more so than in traditional sectors like banking or manufacturing. As of 2022, there were 3.6 million students enrolled in universities across Egypt. That means that in the next 2 years, every last one of those university graduates are expected to be employed somewhere in Egypt. These well-funded tech startups are expected to grow and open up hundreds of job opportunities, and many of them are creating products and services in areas such as fintech and financial inclusion that the Egyptian economy so desperately needs. Fintech is one tech sector that Egypt excels in. 8 Egyptian fintech startups were listed on Forbes Middle East's top 30 fintech companies for 2023, surpassing the number of fintechs listed from Saudi Arabia, the UAE, and Kuwait. On the African continent, Egypt has birthed the second most unicorns behind Nigeria. Let us introduce you to Egypt's 3 unicorns as of Q2 2024. In fact, Fawry, a leading e-payments player in Egypt founded in 2015, became the first startup to achieve $1 billion valuation in 2020, after its successful IPO in 2019. Fawry addressed the pain points felt by Egyptians every day, who spent an average of 3 days per month paying monthly utility bills and the like. Fawry solved for this problem by integrating payments for all these services in one place, on their app. Since its successful IPO and reaching unicorn status, Fawry has continued to see a tremendous increase in both profit and revenue, and by 2022, Fawry's annual revenue had soared to $75 million, with a market cap of $542 million as of March 2022. Following Fawry's steps was Swvl, a startup founded in Egypt providing tech-enabled mass transit solutions, offering intercity, intracity, B2B and B2G transportation products and services. In 2019, Swvl relocated their headquarters to Dubai in preparation for global expansion and an IPO. Unfortunately, Swvl fell on hard times shortly after IPOing on the Nasdaq through a SPAC. Less than 6 months after its shares started trading on the Nasdaq Stock Exchange, Swvl's share price tanked, losing over 95% of its value in September 2022, resulting in the loss of its unicorn status. Undisciplined hypergrowth through a number of M&A transactions in far-distance markets in LATAM and Europe are major causes for Swvl's crash as the world entered into lockdowns during the pandemic. MNT-Halan is the latest unicorn which made headlines in February 2023, when it was crowned Africa's first unicorn of the year. Today, MNT-Halan describes itself as Egypt's largest non-bank lender to the unbanked. What many people may not know is that before shifting gears into fintech, MNT-Halan originally launched in 2017 as a ride-hailing app under the name Halan Incorporation. It then adopted its new name after merging with Dutch lender MNT Investments in 2021, kickstarting their seamless transition into a digital payment solution. Since then, the company has experienced rapid expansion, branching into food delivery and establishing itself as a super app within just 2 years. MNT-Halan's mega rounds of fundraising significantly boosted Egypt's capital raising in 2023. The fintech secured a record $400 million in equity and debt funding in February 2023, which accounted for 80% of total funding raised by Egyptian startups in the entire year. Their achievements are particularly remarkable, given that 2023 was a tough year for many startups and a quiet year for many investors, not only regionally, but also globally, with the VC winter taking root. When you look at Egypt funding data across the past 5 years, you can see that the VC winter, which took hold in most markets in 2022, had a delayed onset in Egypt. While the rest of the MENA region saw a downturn in deals and fundraising in 2022, Egypt's startup ecosystem set new records. In 2023, MNT-Halan's $400 million raise accounted for 80% of all funds raised in the year, indicating how well and truly the VC winter had set in Egypt by then. All of that said, what does 2024 hold for Egypt's tech landscape? Read our special report to find out why investors are saying they're bullish about the market opportunities being presented.